Now, in April, Africans in the Chinese city of Guangzhou reported a campaign to forcibly test them for the coronavirus and order them to self-isolate or to quarantine in designated hotels. Now, landlords then evicted African residents, forcing many to sleep on the streets. Hotels, shops, as well as restaurants refused to serve African customers. Now, reports said other foreign groups have generally not been subjected to similar treatment, and some African governments have since registered formal protests. Joining us now to discuss the conditions faced by Africans in China amid the coronavirus crisis is Yaqiu Wang, Asia researcher at Human Rights Watch in New York. Yaqiu, thank you so much for your time and for joining us. Would one be correct, perhaps, in saying that what the coronavirus has done is just brought to the fore a situation that pre-existed the virus, and that is racism against Africans in China? Would that be an accurate statement?
Absolutely, yes. There have been, racist treatment towards African for a long time, especially in Guangzhou, which has the largest African community. One very obvious thing that is the racial profiling, the racial policing by police. Police frequently check African immigrants' documents, and they, I talked to Africans in Guangzhou. They told me that even before the coronavirus, they would come, to knock their door and to check their documents. Even, the government has all the documents, has all the information in the computer system. It's just a way to harass them. And they, on their daily life before the coronavirus, people told me that they would be turned away by restaurants, and when Chinese people see them on the street, they would, turn around. So the racist treatment were already going on before the coronavirus. It's just, a crisis is exacerbating the situation.
Tell us a bit about Guangzhou. What is it about this city that Africans find so attractive? Why is it that within China, that is the one city that has the largest number of Africans?
I mean, because Guangzhou is, a trade hub, and it has a lot of factories that export goods. So it has become a place that a lot of African traders come and they, export all kinds of stuff back to Africa.
What the Chinese authorities have said is categorically that there is no racism against Africans. And what is it that they are attributing this type of treatment to? What are they saying about it?
I mean, they have denied what has been going on in Guangzhou, which is clearly racist and discriminatory treatment towards Africans. There's no other way around it. However, they have, said rhetorical stuff like we reject differential treatment, we have zero tolerance for discrimination, and also the Guangzhou government has recently, published a statement saying that we're going to implement measures to make sure that different sectors do not will ensure that business treat everybody equally. However, they're just saying that we're going to not treat people differently. However, they still have not acknowledged that the discriminating treatment has been going on.
So would you say that this racism is coming chiefly from the Chinese government?
Yes, absolutely. This is it has been going on before the coronavirus, and it's still going on. And they have denied that it existed. They were just saying rhetorically that we have zero tolerance for discrimination.
What African leaders have done is they've made contact with various Chinese ambassadors. They have made pleas for the Chinese not to treat Africans in that way. And what Kenya has done is they, on the 1st of May, actually started repatriating their citizens back home to Kenya. How has the reaction of African leaders been to this? Are they emphatic enough, or do you find that in some way there is an effort to try and appease the Chinese government and try and to keep good relations with the government, considering the economic relationship that the two countries enjoy?
I think I see a change. First, when the video of Africans sleeping on the street, went viral on social media, and African officials in Africa, they summoned the Chinese ambassadors, and they actually published those videos. They gave a talk down to the Chinese officials online. So I do see, they were being forceful and they were being very, firmly about this. However, then the Chinese government started to talk to African officials. I see a tone down from African officials on this issue. So clearly there's something behind the door that was going on.
And how has the treatment of Africans been now since the release of these videos? Has it continued without abating?
I think, I have been hearing different stories. Some people told me that they were forcefully quarantined and they were tested negatively many times, so they got released. However, after they got released, they were still ordered to get tested again and again. And some are telling me in early April, they couldn't access subway, they couldn't access to the malls and restaurants, but right now they can. So the government are saying that, business should stop treating different people differently. However, as a one day you told the people that told Chinese people Africans have the virus. Second day you told them, oh, Africans are not that bad. I mean, people don't change their mindset that quickly. So the damagings are still.
And how do the Chinese people make sense of the fact that this virus did not actually originate in Africa, but in China?
I mean, because the concept that China has contained the virus domestically, and the second wave mostly come from abroad. However, the fact that the imported cases are most brought by Chinese people living abroad, so it's not about foreigners. Then there are a lot of propagandas going on, saying there was a Nigerian man who actually, hurt a nurse who tried to prevent him from leaving the hospital. I mean, he was tested positive. So there were a lot of propaganda that tried to target Africans for bringing the virus. And I think people start to that, propaganda.
I've read about some of the commercials and advertisements that one could find on Chinese media. Tell us about some of those that particularly stereotype Africans and that speak to the type of discrimination that Africans are experiencing on the ground.
I think a very famous one was in 2018, a Chinese laundry detergent brand. They had an advertisement showing that a black man being pushed into a washing machine by a Chinese woman. And then he got cleaned and then he emerged from the washing machine as a lighter skinned Asian. So this is, sitting from New York, this is so blatantly racist. But I think in China, people still, kind of lack awareness. This is just so wrong. But I think there were a lot of backlash against the advertisements. So I think awareness is getting, better, the situation, in terms of awareness.
And tell us why you believe perhaps that the African leadership has not been strong in dealing with this with China. As you said, there seems to be a bit of apprehension, and even though they're telling the Chinese government not to go ahead and do it, even though they're talking to the ambassadors, they are repatriating some of their citizens, but it doesn't look like it's an action that's going all the way out.
I think clearly the answer is money. So China has billions of investment and assets in Africa. They have, they have invested and also loaned billions of dollars to Africa. So I think through that, China has a lot of leverage and influence on the continent through the Belt Initiative.
Well, Yaqiu, we thank you so much for your insight this evening. That's Yaqiu Wang and she focuses mainly on Asia research at Human Rights Watch, and she's coming to us from New York.